a restful day, or we did have a restful day, depending on what sector you find yourself. But as we say, this is the new norm. We should make the most of it as possible. So making the most of it as possible, from the financial standpoint, when we look at it, and we are all learning as the government rolls out a lot of new rules. We know there would be stimulus checks coming out. We know they've made adjustments for employment insurance. There are new paid leave. There's the law that covers new paid leaves, depending on if you are a carer or you have the situation, how you would be able to take in some of these options that are available. And then there are also statutes for our federal student loans. As Ms. Bola mentioned, we do have, you might be thinking of what are we doing for renters or homeowners? What do I have to do in this new market? I know I haven't checked rates today, but when this kind of came on right away, the lowered interest rates greatly, how does that impact us in the long run? And then a couple things on, just different advice we might need. How do we keep lights and phones working? Because we all might be in different stages that we're going through. So this would be a quick walk down. At least you've kind of gotten some of these outlines that might be relevant to you. Then when we get into the question answer time, we might be able to ask a bit more stuff, or we'll see what other resources we might have as these things are rolled out. But first and foremost, about the stimulus checks, not to say the least, I think the US is doing poorly in that, right? Because we know, for instance, UK says 80%. The government provides 80% of salaries for people who are impacted, which is just everybody. And I think Denmark was doing 75%. Canada was given $2,000 a month, and most of these people are given up to 4 months. What the US is doing is just a one-time payment. But that one-time payment, it's for single adults who have an adjusted gross income of $75,000 or less. Will get the full $1,200. So we kind of hear the $1,200, and that's $1,200, not $12,000. $1,200 is all we're getting, $1,200. While married couples with no children who are earning, with no children and earning $150 or less, so that's still 75 will receive will receive a total of $2,400. And then for every qualifying child age 16 and under, the couple will get another $500. There's a whole outline of what you would make, but I think once you cross over 99, you're not getting anything. That's zero. Otherwise, it goes down to 900, 600 at various stages. So we'll just have to see where it is that you fall in. From what we've heard, this is going to be coming out within the next 3 weeks. It would easily come out from it would be direct deposit. So once you've already once you've already filed your taxes for the year or last year, those are the guidelines they would use, and that's the way in which they're going to reach you. So they will just send those things out. And I think if you are not in that category and you haven't filed your taxes, maybe it would be in your best interest to file it quickly. Not to mention, we have tax filing has been deferred from April 15th. We have an additional 3 months. And then if you're a business also and you owe taxes, you can actually, I think that's like a 6-month period of when you can wait and pay it back. But you still have to go ahead and do your filing, and then you would get those exemptions or defer your payment as and when you are eligible to do that. You would need a valid social security number to collect the payment. And if Internal Revenue Service already has your bank information account, they will transfer it out quickly. So when you look at your circumstance, if you haven't filed your 2019 taxes and you think 2019, you might stand a better chance of getting the stimulus package, you might fall within the right bracket, then just hurry up and file it so that within this period, they'll be able to send that to you. Unemployment insurance, they have a new relief package, right? And think I should just run through so there's a new relief package. Typically you would get 45% of what you earn based on your state. But at this point, the government has added an extra 600 to your weekly checks. And once you also go online to your unemployment, your labor offices, that law would kick in, additional $600 weekly benefits. Typically, most states will do 13 weeks. What we're getting here is you have extra benefits for, I think, an extra 13 weeks. So 26 weeks is what we should be looking at. And then you have paid leave, who it covers. You'd also have to read, it might cover if you're sick or if you're looking after someone, if you're quarantined or you're seeking diagnosis or you're looking after someone, you're a caregiver, you would be able to get paid in those instances. Federal student loans, we can pause our federal student loans. The U.S. Department of Education has granted a payment waiver of at least 60 days to many people. Generally, you will have to call your loan servicer to request that. For most of them, if it's a federal loan, you'll just be granted, it would just go into effect, but it beats just having to call and make sure you check who owns your loan. Is it a private loan? And even for the private loans, like Sallie Mae and all, Navient, they've also rolled out certain things in which they're doing. Homeowners, renters, for most of what is happening, there's a good chance you can delay your mortgage payment if the outbreak has left you short of money. Most people are giving you that deferral of about 3 months. If you're really hard up, yes. But if you defer, of course, 3 months deferral, and there should be no, I know the student loans, there's no interest. It freezes interest. I'm not too sure about the general mortgage. If you have a federal housing finance agency, you are under Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, you can delay payments for 12 months and that one interest would be frozen because this is as a result of hardship. So you need to just find out who owns your loan, call your people, find out, hey, how long can I defer this to? But if you're really out of the job, the best thing to do is take advantage of these things. Call your utility department, put your student loan on hold, put your mortgage on hold, and focus the money you have on those day-to-day activities, whatever you need that would help you get into those things. And then I think, we've talked about utilities and all those stuff. But on another end of it, when you're secure, your mind is fine and everything, there's a great opportunity to make money. Let's use this time and see which aspects in the market has gone down, stocks and stuff, and then you start building up from there. So I think this would be a good roundup. Dr. Rolla or Stabola, I don't know, you'd come on and then we can catch up again later. Are we there, Dr. Rolla? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Hi. Are we good? Is our moderator going to say something or should I just go ahead?
I think you could go ahead then, because I couldn't hear her. Yeah.
Oh, you couldn't hear. Okay.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Yes, you're welcome, Dr. Rolla.
Thank you so much.
Tell us a little bit about what you do and then take it away. You have 10 minutes.
Okay. So my name is, for those of us who are Nigerian, my full name is Rolla Ketomori, but online I'm Ask Dr. Rolla. So short form, ROLA. Psychologist. I worked as a psychologist for 15 years, actually be 15 years, psychologist 15 years, really mental health services for over 20. I've treated children, adults in the community, in private practice. I've also worked in the prison system with male felons for 7 years, both in California and in Georgia. About 10 years ago, I had a radio show in California, so I've done quite a bit of sharing mental health information to faith communities and really the general public. Now I have a YouTube channel, so if you want to check me out, it's Ask Dr. Rolla, ASKDRROLA. I'm active on Instagram and Facebook, ASKDRROLA. So again, I'm a person of faith. I gave my life to the Lord many years ago. So even as I share psychology, I see it as a tool to be able to encourage people and for people who believe in God and who have faith to understand that God really does care about how they feel. Oftentimes I think in Christianity, we're just told to just suck it all up and the more I look at the scripture, the more I understand that God truly does care and he empathizes with us when we go through. So thank you so much, Sister Bola, parenting initiatives, for having me here. I appreciate your resources and initiatives. So I'm just not going to take too much of our time, but I'm going to just delve into some things very quickly. I think the way to go for me, because there's so much to talk about, is to start with a little bit about how this kind of stress affects us psychologically, both in the short term and the long term. There is absolutely nothing wrong in believing in God, in believing that God will bring about a miracle. But when we look to the scriptures, we understand that sometimes some things happen immediately and God removes the problem. And in some situations, people had to wait for years or go through some very difficult processes before they got the things they wanted. And that is what COVID-19 is. It is a stress that is chronic, that is long-term. It is not that things will not get better, but the reality is it's a chronic issue that even the medical experts are not, they're not fully certain. To be honest, they're not about when this is going to end. Evidently, we haven't had a lot of preparation. What the scientists are saying is that this virus is very new to the human body. So even in understanding how it interacts, why somebody is sick or the other is not, why men and women contract this infection at the same rate and men die more than women. So many complexities. What the underlying medical condition is very complex. What that means is we're in uncertain times. And we don't want to minimize the impact of uncertainty on our lives as people, especially those of us that have been blessed. We live in the United States, we live in Nigeria. We can pretty much call our shots, or different parts of the world where you had at least, I know sometimes we think we're struggling, but the reality is when compared to many people in the world, we're living above the standard. There are people right now in slums in India that 1,400 people share one toilet. Social distances is not possible in their communities, but many of us have been used to things working out. We know what to do. Now we don't. What do you do as a human being and a person who believes in faith and in positive things and a positive outcome in times like this? You have to roll with the punches. You cannot be so caught up with, oh, in the name of Jesus, this is how it's going to be, and then start saying things or building the hope of people around you in such a way that can actually make them feel defeated. So if you say, I heard from a prophet that COVID-19 is disappearing in 24 hours, and then in 24 hours, more people die, that can raise more anxiety and cause people to feel more helpless. So what do we do? One of the things I would say you need to realize is that when you're dealing with a problem that is long-term, you must begin to look inside. Ironically, and very interestingly, most of the things that they're telling us to do to make us safe is actually a problem for us psychologically, right? They tell us to stay indoors. That's a problem because we may not be interacting with people as much. They're telling us to maintain social distance. When you maintain social distance, if you're not careful and you make it social, you may end up being lonely and isolated, and that increases the risk of anxiety and depression. For elderly people, that increases the risk of dementia and heart issues. So all the things they're telling us to do to make us safe, we have to now create a new norm. And the new norm is I might be separate from you by 6 feet, but I got to connect with you socially. And this tragic thing for us as people in this time of our lives is because of technology and how fast life is, before COVID-19, they said that more people are lonely than have ever been in the history of mankind. Because now we can get along without even connecting with people. We can go online, we can connect, we can go to work, we can work from home. But COVID-19 demands that we have good and healthy social connections. And I believe that is one of the greatest challenges we face. We must become social. And social connection is not by passively looking through social media to see what people are posting. You can go on social media, but you probably want to go on it and make sure you're actually connecting. Send a message to somebody, ask how they're doing. If you're getting into arguments, if you're criticizing people, if you're doing things in there that is making you feel sad or hopeless or critical, you may actually be breaking down the very fabric of what you have left in terms of social relations. That's a problem. You don't want to do that. So we need now to take a place of how do we build social connections? We don't have a lot of time. That's what I want you to start thinking about in this period. You may need to have family meetings in your family. Have a cheat sheet of all the signs of COVID-19 and decide if anybody's showing these symptoms, we're going to call the doctor. When you have the action plan, what does that do? It makes you somewhat take your mind off COVID-19 for a minute and make the best of what you have. So if you have the signs posted somewhere in the house and people check it, it can be calming to say, if I have this symptom, I'm going to call. That can give you, and this is the number I'm going to call. This is my doctor's number. This is the nurse's advice line through my medical insurance. As a family, come together and talk about it, but talk about it in a way that is constructive. When we're going through challenges, we want to make sure that we're not just ruminating. Even sometimes the prayers we offer are anxiety ridden. Oh my God, in the name of Jesus, we bind this, but it's not problem focused. And that's why my friend Afra is on here. Sometimes the way to cope in times of stress is become task oriented. You don't have to do everything, but choose 2 or 3 things that can help you to manage this crisis. Maybe it is going through your bills and taking out some things that are not worth it anymore. Maybe it is looking at how much money you're spending on groceries and understanding you don't need that. Suddenly we begin to look at our lives and we understand that there's so many positive things that we have maybe overlooked because things were moving quickly, and now we go back and we begin to connect with each other. I may need to adjust. Okay, thank you for letting me know. All right, can you see me now, please? Okay, awesome. So the important thing here is please try to develop healthy social connections. If you go for a walk, you can wave at people, you can smile at people. You don't have to be close to them to be able to connect with them. You can talk with people on the phone. Make sure it's something, if you can, productive. Moving towards how you're coping with COVID-19 and exchange and trade ideas. Thank you, sis. I appreciate you. Thumbs up telling me that I'm showing you see my face. So connect with that person in a positive way. Some people have done dance parties in their apartment with 6 feet apart on the porch, waved at each other. In some communities, everybody comes up at 7 p.m. and waves at each other. You're socially connecting, but you're keeping the physical distance. Again, make sure that's important. If you have a very negative relationship with your spouse, COVID-19 will bring out your worst. Or even your sister or your brother, because people are going to start getting in each other's faces. Why don't we overlook some of our long-term problems in these relationships? We can't solve everything in one day and focus on the now. So I'm going to do a video sometime very soon and say, how do you argue well during crises like COVID-19? If you get into a fight with somebody, please let the fight be productive, which is, as you're arguing, start thinking about what the argument is going to lead you to. Is it leading towards a solution, or is it focused on the problem alone and the other person you're arguing with? The moment you start focusing on the solution, it kind of reduces the kind of fire and the energy we put into contention. And that itself is draining. It may feel good in the moment, but in the end, you become more depressed and you start feeling more anxious. And the moment people live in one space and they're getting on each other, what are they doing? They're draining on their emotional resources. You want to understand that in times of crisis, you need to take care of your emotional bank. So social relationships, make sure your arguments are more productive. Focus less on don't blame anybody right now, because if you didn't solve the problem before COVID-19, it's not going to get solved in one argument. What can we do now to mitigate the stress and mitigate the problems we have now? Who do we need to call? Make a note of all the things you do. Make a list. Choose 2 or 3 things from that list and decide, this is what I'm going to do today. Write down who you talk to, have your book of to-do. Makes you feel like you accomplished something, even though you can't go out and do a lot of things. I also want you to pay attention to the fact that in this time, it's good to have projects, but you want to make sure you rest well. Nothing as critical, we call it vegetative symptoms in psychology, where you go to bed on time, set most of the time regular bedtimes. When your body is rested, you're less likely to be depressed and anxious. Why? Because your body is rejuvenated. Focus on eating foods that are light, healthy. Fill your plate with vegetables and fruit. If you take a walk just for 20 minutes a day, it doesn't even have to be hard. Take that walk, come back home. Also, give the other people in your life a little bit of a break. It's okay for every hour of the day not to be consumed with activities. Find some things like board games. Some people are doing board games online. Close your eyes in the place of prayer and meditate on a psalm of praise. If you're a Christian person, even if you're a Christian, you don't have to always meditate on praise. You can sit down, sit still for a moment, close your eyes, count as you breathe in. Count 4. 1, 2, 3, thank you. 4. Hold your breath for 2 seconds. Hold your breath, pause, hold your breath, and count down as you exhale. Focus on the fact that you are blessed to be able to breathe. One of the critical symptoms of coronavirus is that people stop breathing. People's ventilation is cut off. We need to make sure we honor those things that we have overlooked, which is your breath. How many minutes do I have? This feels like I've had more than 10 minutes. I think so. So
yes,
resist.
1 more minute and then we'll take questions.
Okay. So resist the urge to bombard every moment with stuff. And then if you have questions around how do you help your children manage anxiety, I will please ask them. But I wanted to focus more on the adults in the home first, because once you are working through something and you're working through your emotional life, you're looking from within, you're learning ways to calm yourself, you're building social connections, you're becoming more of a task-oriented kind of worry. You're directing your energy and your stress into doing tasks that makes this situation more manageable. You're going to be better positioned to support those in the family that could be fragile emotionally, or even the young people who are concerned about how their lives have changed overnight.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rolla.
You're very welcome.
So if you're ready to ask a question directly, please go ahead and ask. And if not, if you'd rather post it as a chat, in the chat room, that's okay as well. Both Dr. Rolla and Afra will be monitoring the chats. Thank you. So I have a question.
Please.
And this will be to Afra. Is it good to defer your loan? I know that some loans, some companies will say, okay, we'll waive the interest rate during the deferment period. Some companies have said, no, the interest will still accrue. What would you advise?
An opportunity.
Go ahead.
Okay, I realized I was muted. I said, so depending on the situation in which you find yourself, one finds themselves, right? If that's something that's available to us to access. So if it's really, I can't afford to do anything, then yes, go ahead. But you want to make sure, like you said, is it those that are holding the interest rates to you? Because your interest adds up, even if it's a 3-month or a 6-month period. There are times, though, we might better use those finances in different areas for the meantime. So I think for each individual, the best thing is just find out what doesn't seem to be too good to believe, because a lot of people out there would start pushing things out at you. So read the fine print, make sure that it's not going to affect you adversely. If it's 3 months, all it means is if I should have finished paying something by December 2021, it's going to be March 2022. And that should be okay. That gives me an extra $50 in my pocket. I probably do need it.
Thank you. Okay, I see Nick Remo says, can you share about the grants available to small businesses?
Okay. I am not too sure off the top of my head. And so, Ms. Nick, if that's fine, I think I was, okay.
Sorry, Afra, I was hearing a lot of background noise, so I had to mute everybody. So if you want to talk, you have to unmute yourself. Go ahead, Afra, sorry.
Okay. All right. So I'm not too sure about what small businesses are being offered right away. And so, Ms. Nikki, if that's fine, I think we could probably send you an email. I know there's an article out on New York Times, and then there's some Google article too. Like I said, there's a lot of things in the works right now. So we'll have to see exactly what emergency options have been rolled out right away. And I mean, if anything, most of these are just being announced right now. So I'm sure we probably have at least another 3 weeks or 6 weeks before they get firm and we can look at it. So I would make a note to check on any of the latest information I've had so we can forward it to you, please.
Okay, thank you very much. If I may add to that, Nike, what I had from a small business owner on Sunday is that depending on your industry, there are some amounts that are grants and you don't have to pay at all. And there are some that are loans and you would have to pay but very little interest rate. So again, it comes down to industry. And like Afra said, a lot of them are still being tweaked. But that's the general guideline that this lady got, that some things are available as grants, small amounts. And then if you want bigger amounts, then it comes as a loan and with a small interest rate.
And I think the bigger,
go ahead.
The larger amounts that you don't have to pay, the only thing they are holding you to is you need to employ your people for a certain length of time. So that's pretty much what, so if you have folks, and I don't know if it's, is it 10 people or 30 people, but then you should promise that I'm not going to lay anybody off.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. And then I can email you offline as well.
And I know there was did we just read what showed up here? I think there's a chat. I believe the offers are loans to pay workers. Okay. Yeah. And that's what Ms. Bola is saying. I believe the offers are loans to pay workers. And if it applies towards workers, the loan then becomes a grant. Okay. And I know you read most of these things quickly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next question. Is someone ready or can I go ahead? I have many questions of my own. So
I guess you could go ahead, but before you say that, if you don't mind, while we're talking of that, refinancing, if we want to refinance this, rates are low. A lot of people want to get into that right away. So if it's something anybody wants to do, best get on it quickly before you are thrown to the end of the line.
Absolutely. So what do you advise about stocks?
I think stocks, we're still seeing a lot of movement. Liquidity can't be described right now. For instance, we know the oil industry, they saw one of their worst performances, I think, in over 20 years. They're still tanking. But this is the point I always say, don't be scared. Just hold on. Don't stop putting money in your 401k. Keep doing that. Right? Where else are you going to turn to at this point? You're not going to pull it out. Just ride with the tide, but look out for opportunities. We always knew there was going to be a downturn. It came about much too soon than we expected. But if there's any money you have anywhere, so even these, if you qualify for this 1,200 and stuff, and you're lucky you still have a job, please, you can get so much more out there on the market. Get onto, if it's E-Trade, if it's Capital One, any of these online trading platforms, and try and get something. You don't need a whole lot, even if it's 200, even if it's 500. Buy something, just leave it. If you have something that has tanked, just close your mind. It will come back up, even if it's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Just wait. But look for the opportunities and just feed into those things too. We will come out way better. It looks like everything is doomed now, but it will be fine.
Absolutely. I'm looking at some companies and I found out that within 1 week, they went down to $15. And now, because things seem to be getting on track, they've come back, like it went from $37 to $15. And then in the last 3 days, it's gone to $22. So imagine if somebody bought it at $15, now it's $22. That's a gain of how much right there? So like Afra said, if you have any little money somewhere, even if it's $500, $1,000, whatever it is, just put it, instead of saying, oh, extra money is coming into my account from the government. Please take that extra money, your tax refund, whatever, please buy, even if it's 100 of each that you buy. Imagine if somebody bought $17 or $15, that they spent $1,500. Now it's $2,200. That's a gain of $700 within 3 days. In what market are you going to make a gain of $700 in 3 days? So I think this is a good time. I know a lot of us will say, "Oh, I don't have that kind of money."
It doesn't even have to be 1,500, 200. Do it.
Okay, next question. Anybody ready? Or if you have a question on mental health, it's okay. We can switch between the two speakers. So, okay, I have another question about mortgages. I know you said we can defer our mortgage and all of that. So what is the best way to go about this? If, okay, for instance, I know that some companies have cut their salaries by 50%. So maybe you're thinking, okay, you know, I can't afford to pay my mortgage and other bills. So maybe I'll let my mortgage just slide, you know. Mm-hmm. Is that the best thing to do, or do you need to actually, you know, do, you know, how do we go about this?
No, you need to call your lender. So call your lender immediately. And most of them probably have, they are operating with very lean staff. So you would be on the phone for quite a while, or even if it means you're sending an email, call, send a message, and find out how do I delay payment. And most lenders are all sworn to say, we're going to help out in this environment. The minimum is 3 months. A few of them are doing 6 months. And then if you have any loan with the Federal Housing Finance Aid, and those are the Fannie Mae's and the Freddie Macs, those are your big agencies. Those have said, we could give you a forbearance of up to 12 months. That's a whole lot. And with those ones, no interest. So you don't, you know, it's just as simple as call and say, hey, I'm going to hold off for another 3 months. There's nothing they can do. They're going to find. And then forget even about mortgage. Even if you're a renter, New York has pushed a lot. Como has managed to push, but I think a lot of states are doing the same. Your landlord would also be able to say, nope, you can't do this. We're giving you 3 months, because they all have a reprieve. There's a moratorium that they have, that they're going to say, one, you can't do any foreclosures within this period. If it's, you know, you rent from somebody, should they also have an FHA loan or anything, they're going to give them that courtesy period for the 3 months, so you can roll under them. So you just let the person know, whoever it is, this is what I have a hardship. And all they're going to ask you is, are you affected? Yes, you're affected. You don't have any disease, but my job is affected. Or, you know, I don't know what's going to happen with my finances.
Thank you very much. So does anyone have a question regarding mental health?
I have a question.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
And I know that Dr. Rolla, I know she's also usually a fitness expert as well. Can you give us some tips on how to, because some of us are stuck at home, working from home, you know, ideas on how, and after a while, you're about to climb up the walls. Can you give us some tips on how to just, you know, maintain a healthy mental state while you're trying to work from home? Some of us have adult kids that are home as well. You know, just some tips.
They're getting on your nerves.
Well, close, Charlotte. I'm hanging in there.
Dr. Rolla, are you there?
On mute.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. So I think anything we schedule, we're more likely to do. So as well, as important as it is to do the work you're doing from home, why don't you say, I'm going to go out and go for a walk at maybe 7 in the morning or 8 p.m. at night, if it's safe in your area. I think you have to schedule it to make it work, to be honest, because if you're like me, I'll sit at my desk for hours on end and remember that I haven't even had any exercise, because I'm trying to catch up on a whole lot of things. Especially you have a small business, you're making phone calls, you're sitting there for hours. I would say do it and schedule it as if it's as important, which it is, to be honest, as your to-do list. Also, okay. I would say the other thing is, since we're not moving a lot, I would suggest that we have much smaller meals. You know, meals that are less heavy, less carb laden. In the past, when we had it, we're walking, we're driving, we're going to, now we're indoors. Once you have lighter meals, you feel less heavy. And I think it makes your body feel, so stock up with the fruits. And what I do for food is I eat the food I don't want to eat first. I eat the apple first before I eat the other food that I should not be eating, because I have a sweet tooth. So I would say, this apple, I'll cut it and watch it, and like, you have to. By the time I have the desire to eat the things I'm not supposed to eat, my stomach is half full. So that reduces the amount of things I eat that is not right. And I will also say that if you guys as a family can walk together or do exercise together, that can also be more fun. put on something, a video, something fun, and you guys move a little bit. And amazingly, you laugh through the process, you connect with each other, and you're also feeling better at the end of it. The evidence is so there. I know we tend to minimize it. If you're depressed, it gets better. You're better competent in carrying out tasks. You sleep better when you exercise. So even in terms of all the stress, that's something we don't ever want to give up on. The exercise and also eating well. You can stay late some nights, but try to go to bed at the same time. Shut down the TV. The lights from your phone will stop you from sleeping, and you'll feel better. We have a backbone. We're resilient people, so we'll make it work, but it's not easy. It's very difficult.
Thank you.
Yeah, very difficult. Thank you.
Next question. So how do you deal with teenagers who don't want to come out of their room? You can tell that they're upset, they're missing their friends, but every advice, every suggestion to do something is met with no, no, no. How do you deal with that so that it doesn't make you go up the walls, like Nike said?
Yes, I think the main thing is that it is healthy, I think, to have family meetings, not just about the virus and how it's infected, but what that means to us as a family. When a person knows, I hope I'm getting across to you, it's like you have a responsibility in this family to help us cope through Corona. And I'm going to warn parents, we tend to do a lot more for our kids, even when they're adults. We assume that we're the one who has to do the main cooking. We assume that we're the one that needs to do the main cleaning. What about sharing these responsibilities? Because if you're the kind of person who is a doer as a parent and you take care of everything, you're really going to be more stressed through COVID-19. You don't want to have more stress. You want to share the pressure. So I would have family meetings like, you're doing this for the family. I will acknowledge how they feel. I would even acknowledge that you miss your normal life too. Sometimes kids think that we act so spiritual or we act so together, they think we're not feeling. Being vulnerable and saying, I feel down too. I feel down because this is how this impacts me. I have to stop this bill, or some projects are not done, or I'm not feeling like I'm moving forward, or I miss, or, connecting on that level and they knowing that you're both in the same thing helps. You're also trying to help your child also to show compassion. So when they clean up and do chores and do things with the family, assign tasks. Let every have their, if they're adult kids, you need to be doing less in that house in COVID-19. They need to be doing more. I know they have online school, but even on online school, when they're in school, they still have time for social activities when they're in school. So share the burden, be vulnerable with them, empower them to make decisions in the family. What do you think we need to do to make this work for us? Let them come up with suggestions, accept their suggestions, and they're going to feel like they have a stake in this in terms of things working out through this difficult time.
Thank you. And I'll add to that the fact that you may need to have touch points every now and then, especially if you have children that are not at home. With the ones at home and even with the ones that are not at home, I told my son, I don't usually call you every day, but for now, I am going to call you every day, and it's going to be a video call because I want to be sure you're okay. I want to be sure you're not thinking, oh, I don't want mommy to be stressed, so I won't let her know I'm not feeling well. No, I want to look in your eyes and see that you are really, really okay. So I think, like she said, let them know that we are also vulnerable, that we are in this together, that we have concerns. And for those that are at home, let's have meetings, family meetings as often as you can, where, okay, how is everybody doing with this? How is everybody handling? Is somebody's stress level going up? What are you struggling with? It's okay to ask those questions. Let's not be superheroes, and let's not allow our children to think that they should be superheroes as well. We are not, and we shouldn't act like we are.
That's good. I like it.
Thank you. So I'll take one or two more questions and then we'll have closing remarks. Any question there? I hope I'm not missing. Okay, I'm reading the chats. Okay, hope I'm not missing anything. Okay, so one more question that I would like to ask is, somebody had mentioned something about not mentioned, I've actually seen on TV, school systems going about and distributing food, but well, this is a typical African community on this call. And what I'm hearing is that some people think there's some kind of shame about it, going out and getting food from the school bus or something like that. How would you address that? Any one of you can answer. How would you address that? What would you say to people who are thinking that way?
Afra, you want to take that?
How do I even start? I mean, I think, if we need something, we should just own up and kind of go for it. It's all I can say, as simple as that. I can't even begin to say what the implications would be later. You might just end up hitting yourself. There are times, as you just said, you don't want to take on everything. Somebody is bringing you free meals. For God's sake, when your kids are in school, they do eat those meals. So if you don't have time, why don't you just go and grab it and let, I think we should just leave everything behind and do, just stretch forth our hands if we need help in all ways. That's what we should do.
Thank you. Dr. Ola, your take?
I think we have to, I hope to God that when we go through a traumatic, a very serious, difficult, life-changing, maybe generational changing event like this, that we come away from it with strengths like knowing when to ask for help. When you set that kind of example and your child knows that there's something out there you don't want to have it, you're really setting yourself up to not have the best life that I believe you're meant to have. Out there are people that are giving things for free. If you're not taking the food, what else are you ignoring? Are you the kind of person that hides away in times of challenges rather than asking people for it? And the thing about it is these people are happy to give it. It's not like somebody back home who is going to shame you. They feel good doing it. Why would you deprive them of that joy? Because the thing about things is, it's good to give and it's also good to receive. I challenge you, if you can't accept something that you need, then you're probably not going to be a good giver and you're a poor manager of your life because you're wasting your resources. The resources you should spend on something else, you're now spending it just so people won't say you're a waster. And I hate to be mean, shame on you. Because you need to take what they give you, make the best of it, and dance that you're alive and well to be able to receive it. I'm sorry I'm a little bit firm, but that's how I feel.
Thank you very much. And I want to add that these things are coming from your tax money anyway. You pay taxes in that county, and that county is offering free food at this point in time. You better take it. It's coming from your tax money that you have paid. Some of us pay school taxes. We pay general income taxes. It's all coming from there. The free food is coming from there. Yeah. So what is there to be ashamed about? And again, like I normally say, this is community, this is support. Don't be ashamed to ask for help if you need help. There's that African mentality. I don't want people to know that I need help. Says who? We all would need help at some point or the other. You may need help with extra clothing or extra food or something. At some point in your life, you will need something, you will need help. Go ahead and please, please, please reach out for help. Someone posted yesterday, the food is given to students in school. It's not arms. It's what the kids are entitled to. It's not for the parents. Yes, of course, it's for the kids and it's not arms. Thank you so much, yesterday. Yeah. Exactly, we need to get that in our heads. It's not arms, it's what they're entitled to. So we might as well take it. And like Afra said, I don't know if it's Dr. Ola that said it, that money that you would have gone to use for the food, you can now use for something else. We're talking about deferring this and deferring that.
That's right.
That's extra money that can go towards something that has to be paid, something that they won't give you a deferment on. Then use that money towards it, Yeah.
So some people might have a good reason though. For instance, just saying, hey, I'm scared to go out. If that's the case, stay in your home.
Okay, if that's it, then that's a good reason, whatever they're scared of, But then again, if you as a parent are scared, then maybe you also need to talk to a professional or to a friend or a relative that you can trust. What are you scared of? Is it that you have an underlying condition and you're scared of going out and getting infected? Then send someone in your family who doesn't have an underlying condition and tell them what to do. When you reach out, don't touch the person, just grab the food and all of that kind of thing. And somebody else put here, it's okay to accept hot meals, but not cold meals because of the threat of the virus.
That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah. So I think we have had good discussions. I would want each one of the speakers to just give us their closing thoughts, and we would wrap this up.
Do you want me to go first, or?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I want us to, this time, we're being forced to stay at home. So I think it makes us look inward more than we ever have. And if what you see inside is pretty messed up, don't be ashamed. Start exploring them. Start working on them. I love people that say this is God's will. I don't know if it's God's will or not for many people to die and people are crying. A day before this got really worse, a few weeks ago, I spoke to my mom, and my mom said, coronavirus will not kill any of our family. I said, amen. But mom, you better start praying for those who are not in your family. Because if this affects a lot of people in the community, it affects us too. What I'm going to say is, let's make sure that in these times, we grow through it. Adversity is not easy for anyone. But the reality is this: maybe when this is over, maybe we'll become more connecting with others. Maybe we will be less judgmental. You know, also look out for signs that you could be depressed or anxious, anxiety, insomnia, difficulty with sleep, worrying a lot. Don't just say, I bind you, I reject you. It is healthy to be anxious in times of trials, but you want to make sure it's not the anxiety that is stopping you from functioning. If you can't function, please ask for help. Very soon, I'm going to start doing teletherapy. A whole lot of people are doing that, but just reaching out to somebody who's even not a therapist and saying what's going on can be very, very powerful. So don't push away the feelings. Use your cell phone for very good social connecting. Play board games online. Some people have virtual dinners. Get creative and ask yourself, whatever am I doing? Am I socially connecting? Am I adding to my emotional bank, or am I drawing up on it? Am I having healthy boundaries, overworking myself in such a way that I don't have any energy because my kids are home? Are we learning how to share responsibilities in a way we haven't before? Am I arguing aimlessly and blaming everyone instead of me handling what's within my control? This is humbling for all of us, but humility is not all bad. Humility is actually good for us. And through this pain, by the grace of God, we'll come out safe, healthy, but also stronger emotionally and psychologically. That's my prayer for all of us.
Thank you.
Amen.
Afra.
So good. So your income has fallen, or it could have been completely cut off. But don't be scared. Look at all other possibilities. Try to, there's that 2 trillion relief package that was enacted by Washington. It's for everybody. Just like we're asking, what are the small business loan? Where do we turn? Try and find new ways of how you could reach out. And in so doing, when even in this era of social distancing, as you said, you reach out to people in love. This is the time where we might not always be watching the trend on the models. What's the latest news? What's the count? Watch a little bit of MSNBC. Watch a little bit of, something funny. Find a time to pick up other things. But as you reach out to people, this is when you would also find a little bit of information about, hey, this is happening here, this stock went down. You might not be able to get all that information. And, you would know where to diversify your funds, what to do. You'd be able to act proactively. But also try and save in little ways that you can at home and have fun while doing that. Most of us went out, we bought more than enough because we're probably scared. We don't know where, when we'll go out again. Those bananas we got are getting rotten. This is the time to do something fun. Bake banana breads. Do something, great. Hey, I have banana, I have oatmeal, I have raisins. There's a 3 banana cookie I can do. It's healthy. Oh, my tomatoes I bought are too much. It's getting rotten. This is the time. It's almost springtime. You have something in your backyard. Throw those seeds out there. Let it grow. You will have returns from those tomato seeds or those bell peppers. And what I think we'll get at the end of it all, would be able to find ourselves more wholesome. We would have spent a lot more family time, would have spent a lot of cohesive time, even during this social distancing time. We'll find ourselves in newer ways. And we'll just be able to take on more opportunities because our ears will be alert. We're not busy running around. We're more focused on what we're doing. So let's make the best of it, have fun, and we're always here for, reach out, share books, anything.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So in wrapping up, I would like to say one or two things. One, reach out to others, try and find one person to encourage each and every day. Just remember, if somebody's name crosses your mind, pick up your phone and call them. You never know. Encourage one person at least each day. Two, like Afra said, brush up on your cooking skills. A lot of us have things that are frozen in our deep freezers that have been there. Bring them out, make meals out of them. Use the cooking time as a bonding time between you and your children or you and your spouse. You're brushing up your cooking skills, you're making delicious menu and healthy ones, and then you're bonding. And finally, for me, this is one important thing that I have challenged myself about from day one, even though I get to work from home a lot of times. But now I'm finding out that, wait a minute, I normally commute 1.5 hours each way. That's 2-3 hours that I can put towards learning a skill. And believe you or not, there are quite a few university systems that are offering free classes online. And some of them are doing the free classes, but then you can pay reduced rate for their certification exam. So they are training you for free, and they're also giving you the certification exam at a discounted price. What is not to love there? Please don't let these 4 months or 3 months that we're going to have just go away without you adding something to yourself. Improve your skills, learn something new, put your extra time, especially if you're somebody who commutes a lot. Now that you can't commute, you can't go nowhere. Those extra hours, use them to sleep longer or use it to learn something new. Like Dr. Rolla said, but you have to create a schedule. If you don't create a schedule, the 3 months will be gone and you will look back and there will be nothing to show for it. Let's be purposeful people, determined to find some gain in this whole situation. You can find some gain, whether professionally or spiritually or emotionally. You can rise through this adversity. You can gain 1 or 2 things and you can be a better person. And somebody said it's time to dust up that business plan that needs attention. Very true, very true, very true. Again, this is Parenting Resources and Initiatives hosting this call. Thank you for joining. We wish you all the best. And if you have any questions, reach out to me or through the means by which you got the invitation, and I will direct you to either Dr. Rolla or Afra. I don't know if they would like to post their email. I won't say their phone number, maybe, but if they're comfortable sharing their phone number, that's okay. You can put it in the chat, Afra and Dr. Rolla. If people have questions for you, I will say preferably your email address. Okay, Afra has already put hers there. Dr. Rolla, if you want to put your email address, so if people have follow-up questions for you, they can reach out to you, or you can reach
I'm
out
technically challenged, so just please do to Dr. Rolla at att.net, DRROLA@att.net.
I'm typing it out for you.
Yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a nice
And I know
evening.
I just got a message from someone pop up, but I can't find it. I'll find it afterwards. And I saw your message pop up to me private. Okay.
Thank you. God bless you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.